Hey you guys, Mira here, back again for another video, except this time I think it's going to be on YouTube, which is both terrifying and exciting. But if you don't know me though, again, my name is Mira. I do evidence-based skincare content on Instagram as well as Facebook. I have a really incredible Facebook community called Skincare and Beauty 101. It's just an incredibly positive, supportive place. And we have a ton of educational content on there, from sample routines for skincare, information on how to layer your products, what order to put them in, and also a ton of free protocols on microneedling, chemical peels, and more. And then of course I have a blog and a bunch of other fun stuff, which I will link below. Today's video is actually going to be on getting more out of your skincare, specifically enhancing the penetration of your serums. We spend a lot of money on our skincare, and if you are not getting it to penetrate into your skin where it needs to be to go, you're not getting your money's worth out of your products, and that's what I wanted to talk about today. I think the cool thing too about these tools is they can kind of help you get more out of your existing routine instead of having to buy more skincare products when maybe you have a bunch of products that you're not using enough as it is. Now, I will get into the devices and tools and kind of my favorites there in just a second, but first I want to talk about which specific ingredients and products can actually benefit from being combined with a product penetration enhancing tool. I think that automatically we want to use them kind of with everything. However, it's important to really note that not every product or ingredient can actually benefit from added penetration into the skin. A moisturizer, for example, is designed to stay on the surface of the skin and kind of lock in moisture. We wouldn't want your moisturizer to penetrate deep into the skin. Also, other ingredients that don't need help at getting into the skin, like retinol, for example. So that's an important consideration kind of from picking products and ingredients that you want to pair with these tools. The first thing that I would kind of consider is kind of the structure of the skin barrier and what is able to get into the skin barrier. A good kind of analogy for the skin barrier is a brick wall, right? The bricks are the skin cells and the kind of mortar are the lipids in between the skin cells, and in between these things you have very small gaps or pores, and ingredients kind of can penetrate into the skin through these kind of small spaces. However, these spaces are only so large, and past 500 Daltons, you see very little penetration into the skin. And that's why it's called the 500 Dalton rule, because anything larger probably is not going to get into the skin, unless it perhaps is lipid soluble. Ingredients that are oil-based are better able to get into the skin thanks to the lipids that are part of the skin barrier. So if you have something that's hydrophilic or water-based and that it has a large size, like a peptide, that is something that can usually benefit from added penetration. And of course, the other thing is you want to ask yourself, does it benefit from being deeper in the skin? So the main focus of this video is going to be growth factors, which I will get to in a sec, but a couple other examples of what I'm talking about would be a peptide serum. This is the one from IQ Naturals. I've used this for years. It has 30% arginine, 30% matrixyl 3000, so it has a high concentration of the two of the more researched peptides, and then it has a lot of kind of hydrating ingredients, including those peptides that I just talked about. So it's a great hydrator. It can benefit from more penetration in the skin, and you're welcome to use something like this. I will link it down in the description. Another example though would be like a copper peptide serum specifically, or a pigment inhibitor. If you deal with hyperpigmentation like melasma, then using a tranexamic acid or an arbutin with some of these tools can help you kind of get more out of them and kind of better target pigment. However, as I mentioned, I'm going to be talking mainly about growth factors in this video. This one is from Bradceuticals. I've used this for years, kind of like the peptide serum. I first discovered them when I had read a really interesting article about anti-age. They're a more expensive brand that uses bone marrow-derived mesenchymal stem cell conditioned media, which is super rich in growth factors, more so than other forms, and they're specifically these anti-inflammatory growth factors. And I really wanted to look for an affordable alternative to that brand. And I looked high and low, and I finally discovered Bradceuticals. I'm really honored to have turned so many of you guys onto this product. They're an incredible brand with an amazing product, but even more importantly, they have wonderful people behind their brand. So I'm really honored to be kind of a part of that. And this is an amazing product. This is probably the one product, aside from, of course, like my tretinoin and my sunscreen, where if I don't have this, I can see a difference in my skin immediately. So this stays in constant rotation. However, even though it's an affordable alternative to anti-age, it's still not cheap. So I like to definitely get more out of it, and compared to using it just alone topically and combining it with, say, cosmetic needling and nano needling, the difference over the years is incredible. I do want to add quickly before we move on that while I'm an Amazon affiliate, so I get a small percentage if you use my Amazon link for this, I do have a non-affiliate discount code for you guys. It's just a thank you from the brand for recommending them for so long, and as a thank you to you guys too, and that is going to be code MIRA2021. It works on the gold one, which is my favorite, and on their Amazon listing. So I will link that down below if you guys want a 15% off. Again, that's not affiliate, it's just a discount code for you guys. Anyway, growth factors, again, are these large molecules, actually oligopeptides. They're these very long peptides that are naturally occurring in our body, and the research really shows that while they do work topically, they work even better if they are microneedled into the skin or we enhance their penetration somehow. And a little kind of note on growth factors, I think a lot of you guys are a little bit confused on maybe what a growth factor is, what's different from, say, EGF versus a conditioned media, which is rich in a wide array of growth factors. As I mentioned, it's an oligopeptide, and it's kind of naturally occurring in the body. It's a messenger molecule that is under this larger category called cytokines. And cytokines are part of the immune system, and growth factors specifically are kind of responsible for any kind of process related to growth. So cell differentiation, cell renewal, cell migration if we're maybe closing a wound. And specifically in the skin, they are involved in every step of the process of something called the wound healing cascade, or kind of the skin's response to any kind of wound. And they're also involved later on when we have skin remodeling, which is where new collagen is formed. It's important to note that each growth factor has a specific set of instructions, right? They can only do one important function. It also only works locally. Because of that, you will never see a single growth factor alone in the skin, and that's why they really work together, because they have to, So when you see kind of a serum with just EGF alone, you would never see that in the skin, and the research is kind of limited on whether EGF alone even works. So that is personally why I'm such a fan of the conditioned media, and this particular type has also been used in the medical field for decades, long before they started to research it for kind of skincare and other aesthetic purposes. So as I mentioned, when we have the wound healing cascade occurring, we have a ton of growth factors as well as other cytokines like interferon, interleukin, etc., right? However, there is also research showing that if we add in topical growth factors, in addition to the ones that we already have, we can really enhance that process and get more out of the microneedling, and as well as help with the kind of faster healing process as well. However, not all of you guys feel comfortable microneedling at home. And in addition to that, even if you do, you can only medical needle once a month or cosmetic needle a couple times a week at most. So in between there, you might want to be using this more and kind of getting more out of it. And that's why I kind of use some of these other tools. So I do want to kind of stress who these tools are for, who can kind of get more benefit out of them. If you don't have any devices at all, then I would suggest getting a more proven device that's going to kind of address specific concerns like chemical peels, NUA radiofrequency, microneedling. Look at that first if you have really specific skincare concerns. However, if you have that covered, or maybe that you don't need anything like that yet, then these are a really wonderful option, again, to get more out of your existing skincare. So I did an Instagram post a while back talking about the main ways to enhance penetration. First and foremost, we have cosmetic microneedling. Medical needling is not covered in this because you do not want to use medical needling to infuse products. That is not the goal of medical needling. The goal of medical needling is collagen induction. And by kind of trying to infuse products with your medical needling, you can have unwanted kind of reactions like a foreign body granuloma response, an allergic reaction, etc. So we do not want to infuse ingredients, but we can do that with cosmetic needling. Plus we can use cosmetic needling more. Using something like this derma roller, this has a 0.3 millimeter needle, and this can be used once or twice a week to infuse products. The added benefit of something like cosmetic needling is that In addition to kind of opening up these small temporary little channels to increase the penetration of the ingredients, you have actually other benefits occurring. Cosmetic needling stimulates the wound healing response just in the epidermis, the very top layer of the skin. This releases growth factors and can kind of thicken the epidermis, and this might even upregulate processes that lead to increased collagen in the dermis over time. So you're getting the most out of all three categories that I'm going to talk about. The cosmetic needling is going to be the most beneficial. However, not everyone may feel comfortable cosmetic needling, or perhaps, you can only cosmetic needle once a week and you want something in the meantime, so that's why these other tools do have a purpose and a function. I just want to stress that the cosmetic needling is going to be the most beneficial since it does more than increase penetration. I'm not going to demo the cosmetic microneedling in this video. The reason for that is that you are opening kind of microchannels into the skin that can introduce bacteria, and it's not something that I can really cover in a 30-second demo. That would not be responsible. So I have, I think, another video kind of uploaded here kind of covering it, and again, there is a ton of free protocols on cosmetic needling in the Facebook group. However, if you are not comfortable with cosmetic needling at home, then you can consider nano needling. This is the Osmosis Epic Skin Tool. I have recently, over the last few months, just fallen in love with this. And this uses nano needles. Hold it up here, you could hopefully see, but they're little small cone-shaped tips to be specific. And nano needles kind of, instead of creating these actual channels into the skin, they kind of move around the cells of the skin barrier to kind of infuse products into the skin. Most of the research on nano needling, like cosmetic needling, is done on drug delivery. We have research on microneedling for collagen induction therapy, right, in the aesthetic field, but there's very little that actually covers cosmetic needling. So that and the nano needling, we do have data from drug delivery just showing that these kind of two modalities, in addition to electroporation, which I will talk about in a second, all three have been covered, in studies showing that they help with drug delivery into the skin. Of course, this is not the exact same thing, but it can be applied to skincare since it's a similar kind of function, right? You're trying to get ingredients past the skin barrier into the skin. The difference is, one is a cosmetic ingredient, one is a drug. So this guy is, as you can see, very well made. It's shiny, it's heavy, it's sturdy, and what I really like about this is that it's from Osmosis Beauty, and they've done testing showing that it increases the penetration of your serums by 30%. Since there's not a lot of actual research on nano needling, I really like that they've done that testing. The nice thing too is you don't have to charge this, you don't have to buy new cartridges for it. It's going to last you forever, and all you have to do is use it, clean it with warm water and your facial cleanser, and you are good to go. It's also really relaxing. It kind of feels like a facial massage, and I will use it all the time on these muscles right in here. I get a really kind of stiff, painful neck, and this is amazing for that. So this is just a really, great device that you don't have to really charge or fuss with, and it will last you forever. This is the most expensive of the three options. However, I think over time it kind of pays off because you don't have to charge it. You don't have to worry about it ever kind of, not charging anymore or breaking down because it's electronic. You don't have to buy the cartridges. So I do think that over time the price makes sense. However, if you buy it from Leah at Skin Beautiful RX, I do have a code with her now, and you can get it 20% off with. I did try this before I was an affiliate, so it's cool to just kind of be able to offer you guys a code at the same time. What I will say is that if you already microneedle at home, this might not be for you. This is really, I think, for the person who maybe doesn't feel comfortable microneedling at home. I will say that unlike nano needling with a pen, this does not irritate my skin, and again, it feels like kind of a relaxing facial massage. So I personally never nano needle with my pens. I will cosmetic needle with them. Even then, I will often reach for the roller, to be honest, because it's more convenient. So this, because I don't have to charge it and it feels better and it doesn't irritate my skin as much, I still reach for this even with a nano needling pen. So I do want to throw that out there. Okay, now the last thing I have to share, and probably the most exciting, is this guy. And the reason I'm so excited to share it is because I was able to reach out to the Amazon seller and get a discount code for you guys. It's not affiliate, I don't make any money from the code, you're welcome to use my Amazon link below, but I figured it couldn't hurt to ask, and I ended up chatting with the seller, and they're actually really nice. And I'm excited to be able to give you guys a discount because a bunch of you guys have been waiting actually for the restock on this guy. Anyway, this is the Karloz 5-in-1 facial massager. This is an electroporation device. So electroporation has been used again for drug delivery. So there's research in that regard showing that it works to increase the delivery of drugs into the skin for medications and stuff like that. I believe there's also some research on electroporation for needleless mesotherapy, again, product infusion. There is some confusion about this sometimes because it does feature kind of gentle RF or radio frequency and EMS, LED, and ultrasonic. I want to stress that this is not a substitute for an LED lamp or panel or a true radio frequency device like the NUA device. This is only for product penetration, so it uses really gentle versions of those to really improve the penetration of your products. And in that regard, that's why I like to use the yellow setting and the red setting, because that uses combinations of those kind of modalities that I mentioned that will best help with penetration, which you will see in the demo. Now, this is in the middle price range of these three. It's normally $60, and then I will have a 10% off code for you guys from 2 weeks starting from today. The benefit of something like this is that you can use it in between microcurrent treatments, radiofrequency treatments, cosmetic needling. You know, it's really, you can kind of use it anytime you're not using those other treatments that can help with penetration. But the nice thing too is that you can really combine this really well with other treatments. You can technically combine the Osmosis as well. However, it does kind of irritate the skin a tiny little bit, like you'll see some pinkness afterwards. This does not irritate the skin at all, and I really like it as like a warm-up before microcurrent treatments, for example. If you are super extra like I am, you can actually use them together. There's some kind of research showing that electroporation and nanoneedles and microneedles really work extra well for penetration when you use them together. You can use these guys together, or you can use this with your nanoneedling pen or another kind of device that enhances penetration. Now, if you already have a new face, or perhaps a MyoLift Mini with the masks and the probes, then you perhaps don't need the Karloz. Just like if you have a microneedling pen, perhaps you don't need the Osmosis Epic Skin Tool. It's important to kind of consider what devices you have and whether they work for your needs. For anyone curious, I use the Cosmetic microneedling roller or my pen once a week, and then I will either alternate the Karloz and the Osmosis Epic, or I'll even use them together if I have time. They're both really quick and easy to use. So I am going to wrap up this video just doing a quick demo on how I use the Osmosis Epic Skin Tool and how I use the Karloz 5-in-1 Facial Massager.
Your beautiful silence, you're killing me with those eyes. You're tainted with whiskey, and you cannot tell a lie. Yeah, you are expecting for me to be perfect, but I am not built to be tamed. Stuck in my cage, a rebel who won't be restrained. You knew who I was when you met me. You wouldn't give up, you said that you would be cool with it. Can you learn to be accepted? A little bit dangerous and a little insane. Can you ride this wave? Take it to the grave. 'Cause I am a sinner insane, and you are electric and change. Can you ride this wave? Take it to the grave, or we could get caught up in this wild, wild love. You're begging and pleading for me to be your type, a saint to the masses so you can sleep at night. You knew who I was when you met me. You wouldn't give up, you said that you would be cool with it. Can you learn to be accepted? A little bit dangerous and a little insane. Can you ride this wave? Take it to the grave. 'Cause I am a sinner insane, and you are electric and change. Can you ride this wave? Take it to the grave, or we could get caught up in this wild, wild love.
Not used to the risk, but I'll take what you give. You have a grip that I cannot escape from. Give me a rush, turn me to dust, ship me into dangerous love. I can be a rebellious one.
Can you ride this wave?
The other thing too is that if you want to get even more out of these devices, again, you can combine them as I mentioned. However, you can also do an exfoliating treatment before, whether that is a dermaplaning treatment, if you have a hydrofacial tool, great. But by doing that kind of deeper exfoliation before going in with these, you will get a better infusion. And then you can follow that up with an LED or a treatment or something like that. All right, you guys, thank you for watching. I kept it really kind of hopefully quick and informative just because I know a lot of you guys have been waiting a while for this video. Some of you guys already have these tools and just wanted to know how to use them. And I will definitely do more videos soon, really deep diving and getting, a little more into kind of devices and tools and skincare and all that good stuff. I will link the products in the description as well as any discount codes I have for you guys. Just a little skincare and pampering can be really nice, and I know that taking that little bit of time for some self-care to relax definitely makes me feel better after a long, stressful week. All right, you guys, I will talk to you all soon. Hope you are having a wonderful week. Bye, guys.